I'm going to start a project in the Old Testament. That's basically me working on the four languages that I spend the most time in. So it's English, Spanish, Greek, and Hebrew. And the reason I chose the Old Testament is because then I can also use the Septuagint. The LXX there is because of a little legend about 70 translators that worked on the Greek translation of the Old Testament. But let's begin here, and I'll show you things about translation, and then this will also be practice for me. So in the beginning, in Spanish, we would say en el principio. And notice there's only two words for that in Greek, en arche. And if you look, regardless of the manuscript in the New Testament, John 1:1, en arche en ho logos, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, the same beginning two words. In Hebrew, it's technically only one word, unless you count this bih right here. And that bih means in. And so you could say, well, that's two words, but they scrunch it all together even in the present day. And so we'll say that's one word. And so you have one words, two words, and three words to represent the one word of Hebrew in our various translations. And so the next word in English, you have God. But notice we skip a word in Spanish, and we skip some stuff in Greek because we have the verb first. The word order changes. And in Hebrew, God is the third word here. So in the beginning, God. In the beginning, he created God. He made, God epoiesin, or he made, or he did. And bara is the Hebrew word there. So, oh, I forgot I wanted to change up colors. For God, let's use blue. Okay. So God, and we have Elohim here, hatheos. And notice in Greek it says the God, and we have hatheos to tell us that that is the subject, hatheos. Whereas in English we don't say the God. It just makes sense to say God. Then we go to created. For created, let's go green, okay? Created. Creó. In Spanish, it means he created. In Spanish, you have to change the spellings at the end. Same thing in Greek. You have to change the spellings and the way it's the letters you use. Same thing in Hebrew as well. Bara means he created. Epoiesin means he made or he created or he did. And creó, he created in Spanish. Now this is interesting. For this one, we'll use the galaxy pen. Haha. The heaven in King James, and I've heard some arguments of people saying, oh, it's, someone's trying to change something by saying the heavens instead of the heaven. Well, there is not a single conservative Spanish translation in existence that says the heaven. They all say los cielos, which is plural, the heavens. Now, in the Greek translation, we have the heaven, that's singular, ton uranon. And here's why that's so interesting. We have hashamayim, which means, this is the word for the, by the way. This ending im, which we might spell ym if we were to transliterate that. That ending im is the way you kind of add an s to a word in Hebrew to make it plural. And so you have, it can go either way, but so the reason it can go either way is because this ym ending, that im, is also just the ending of the word shamayim. Shamayim simply means heaven or heavens. And because of the im ending, the im is already there. So is it saying that is plural or is it? Well, we don't really know. You have to make that decision as a translator. Spanish translators chose los cielos, Greek translators chose ton uranon. And think about it, it doesn't make any difference. If I say the birds of the sky or the birds of the skies, are you really confused as to which upper motion I am talking about? I don't think so. We have et here. This you can't translate. This in Hebrew means a direct object marker. It's impossible to say that in Greek or English. It means the next word that comes is the object. And so you see when you hear all these people talking about word for word translations, there's no such thing. But we can carry over the same trustworthy meaning. Okay, let's get into and the earth. For the earth, let's use orange. We have and the earth. The way you say that in Spanish is y la tierra. The way you say that in Greek is kai tein gain. And by the way, my Greek and Hebrew pronunciation throughout this, it will be wrong because both these languages are dead, but I'll be consistently wrong. That way it kind of looks the same each time. And then we have the earth here, and your and is here right before your direct object marker. And so just look at that. Look how, we're going backwards in Hebrew reading like this. And so let me read this all woodenly in a sort of a bad English translation. Okay, so in King James, we have, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. In Spanish, we would have, in the beginning, he created, God, the heavens and the earth. Now, we're not saying he created God, because the way that is spelled, we know that God is the subject and creo is the verb. It's just that they switch that up in Spanish. They do the same thing in the Septuagint. This ha and the os ending of theos tells us that theos is the subject. He made is the verb. And so by putting created before God, we're not saying he created God. It's just that languages are different this way. And that's why you must change words. And yet, so there's no such thing as a word for word translation, and yet the meaning carries over. In Hebrew, we have in, beginning, he created, God, the subject, the direct object marker, the tiny word for the, ha, shamayim, which could be heaven or heavens. You kind of have to decide depending on the context. In this one, it would totally work for both, to say either. And then you have and, then another direct object marker, which we can't even translate into languages besides Hebrew or another language with the direct object markers. And then we have ha again, and then aletz for the word for earth. So I have a lot of fun with this. I'm going to keep doing this, and if you enjoy it, keep your eyes peeled for the next one.